Now, I told you that, Bill, that Chuck is one of my favorite people.
You have told me that.
My favorite person, and I know he's yours too, is getting ready to be on the Zoom call.
Right.
Do we want to, I want to show one of his motivational bites, and then we're going to interview him, okay? Then we're going to talk to him. So, Chris, can we do that? So let's show one of these short bites, and then when we come back, we're going to talk to the maker of this. He is by far one of my favorite people, and this motivational bite will show you why. Also, we did this last year as well, and it was one of the most favorite things that people told me they really, really enjoyed.
Sure. Steve Gilliland. Ready for that, Chris?
Several years ago, I walked into a Taco Bell restaurant in Lubbock, Texas at 9:30 at night, and the young man behind the counter who was leaning on the cash register said, "What's up?" I said, "What's up?" He then replied, "Yeah, you need something?" I said to him, "I want a beef burrito, but I'm a little worried." He said, "About what?" I said, "Since I arrived, you haven't even moved an inch, so I'm not sure you have the energy to go get it." He then said, "Man, you have to understand, I've been here since 6, and I'm burned out." I said, "This morning?" He said, "No, man, the other 6 o'clock. I then replied that you're not burnt out, to which he replied, "How do you know?" I said, and I quote, "You can't burn out because I don't think you've ever been lit." You can't burn out unless you've been on fire. Let me share this with you. When diminished interest collides with a chronic lack of ambition, you can't blame it on burnout. Burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. It occurs when you feel overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and unable to meet constant demands. On the other hand, ambition is not an inborn trait. It can be learned and cultivated, the same as any other positive trait. A lack of ambition can certainly be overcome. Ambition is the desire to escape mediocrity, which, incidentally, is the place where most people choose to live. Ambitious people understand there are no shortcuts to fulfillment, contentment, and living a meaningful life. They know that life is nothing short of hard work, and that to succeed, you must do the heavy lifting. Ambition is about pushing all your chips to the middle of the table and going all in. Prove your family, friends, neighbors, and the world wrong. Master your craft and become one of the best. Your ambition will always drive you forward. Ambition is defined as a strong drive for success. This drive is a common trait in anyone who has created significant success or left any significant mark on the world. Anyone who has moved the world forward in any meaningful way has had ambition. Through sheer will and burning ambition, Jeff Bezos has made Amazon's ambitions seem boundless. Triumphant in online retail, cloud computing, organic groceries, and streaming television, Amazon has redefined limitless ambition. It wasn't a Princeton education that got the job done. It was a burning desire put into action towards a vision. We can easily assume that this kind of burning desire is not common because we don't see it in everyday life. You have to find something that anchors you, something that keeps you looking forward. A dream without ambition is like a car without gas. You're not going anywhere. Never wait for your ship to come in. Always go out and meet it. Talented people hit targets no one else can hit. Ambitious people hit targets no one else can see.
Is a member of the Speakers Hall of Fame, an honor bestowed on only 227 men and women worldwide since 1977. In 2015, eSpeakers recognized him as one of the top 10 motivational speakers in the world from over 9,000 candidates. In addition to being one of the most sought-after speakers in the world, he's a prolific and accomplished author, evidenced by 6 of his books becoming bestsellers, and him being named Author of the Year for his book, Enjoy the Ride. He recently was recognized by Forbes as North America's most award-winning speaker, Steve Gilliland. Steve, 3 years ago at a program, I've been in this profession for 30 years. I've heard hundreds of speakers. You said something so profound. You asked, can you name the 5 most influential people in your life beside your parents? And everybody started thinking, and then you said, are you on somebody's list? I have thought about that ever since. That was so profound. That was a magical moment, and I've enjoyed your books and your tapes. And I encourage anyone that's listening tonight, please go out, look on Amazon, download those books. If you're on a ride, get those tapes because they are absolutely insightful.
Steve, thank you so much, buddy, for being here. Honestly, I say thank you to Steve so much during the year because I asked Steve to do so much for me and small business owners, and he always says yes. And so thank you again, my friend. You know, and I've said this before, you are Bill's favorite speaker of all the 9 years that we've had. There isn't a conversation about this event that Bill and I don't have that he wants to remember something you said at the very first talk that you had as well, my friend. And I just adore you, buddy, because you practice what you preach. You do what you say, and you have just been there for us in the Chamber and small business for many, many years, buddy. Thank you so much for doing this for us.
You're so welcome. It is absolutely an honor. And I always say it's a privilege to get to do what I do. And every day I wake up, just to be able to encourage people. And, the program that I did for you a few years ago, one of the things that I did mention too, and I believe that all of us tonight, and every day we wake up, we can change in a single moment the trajectory of someone's life. And I think that's so important for me. And that's why I'm here. Of course, flattery gets you everywhere, and you guys have been very flattering. So,
we'll keep it flowing, buddy. We'll keep it flowing. I want to talk a little bit, Steve, about the motivational bites. Julie and I just absolutely love them. We talk about them. That we share them on our website. I mean, not our website, but our emails that we send out monthly. And you're so gracious to allow us to do that. Talk about the motivation of putting together the motivational bites, because they seem timeless to me. In business, we'd call that sort of an evergreen product that you've created.
Well, it all came about, and quite frankly, it was from people that would hire me to speak. I would come in, I would do an event, and multiple people, and I'm not exaggerating, not embellishing, they would say to me, man, I wish we could have you every Monday. And I would smile and say, hey, you know what? Call us up. I'll be there. And of course, they would laugh, and I would laugh, and I would walk away. And then during the pandemic, it hit me that the digital learning piece was about to explode, and employers were trying to figure out, how do I keep employees engaged? And it doesn't matter if you have 10 employees or 10,000 employees. So what I did is I filmed, and it was a 6-month project. I filmed 52 motivation bites on relevant workplace topics, and I call them performance essentials in the workplace. And just to give you an idea, when we launched this, we had no idea how far-reaching it would be in the industries that it would touch. And just last week, I got an email, and I brought it because sometimes people think, well, it was a PDF from a company, and I'm going to put it like this so you can see it. It was a PDF where American Credit Acceptance, a very large company down in South Carolina, and if you want to know what this went out to all their employees, and it goes out every single week, and it says, ACA presents Motivational Mondays. Steve Gilliland coming every Monday. And basically, they take the topic, and on this one, it simply said, this week's topic is honesty. And it's one of their guiding principles, as a matter of fact. And it says, let's start the week being motivated and challenged to display our integrity. Companies have used these, schools have used these, a lot of places have used these to inspire their employees to get ready for the week. So for me, it was just it, and I don't want to use the word no-brainer because it was no-brainer. I'd have done it years ago, but it became evident during the pandemic that the digital side of things, the engaging them by video was something they needed. And the 4 to 5 minutes was intentional because, retention, keeping somebody's attention. And of course, we added a lot of B footage, as you saw on the bite that you played. And it's just been, honestly, Joe, it is beyond my wildest dreams how it has been received by organizations.
Well, Steve, let me tell you this, buddy. I know Chuck's good, and he helped you put those together. And I'm sure those motivational ideas are great. But, buddy, you presenting it is what makes them work. I tell Julie all the time, because I advise a lot of small business people, the idea is not what's important. It's the implementation of the idea. And you do it exceptional. And here's why, buddy, because you're believable. You're genuine. I don't think I'm saying something that, well, it might embarrass you a little bit. 2 years ago, you had been diagnosed with cancer. You were on the show. You still did the talk. You told me that you were diagnosed. I didn't say anything because you asked me not to. A year later, you came back. You were free and clear of that, did another show, and did not mention it either time that you had been gone through and you had these illnesses. And it was just for a guy like me on the outside to watch you going through a very personal, tough time, but man, you still delivered on motivational talks. You're the real deal, buddy, and I just adore you, and I cannot thank you enough for everything that you do, not just for me personally, but when small business people are looking for a way through and out, these motivational bites absolutely provide that. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about how your last year has been, because it's still not a great time to be out speaking, is it?
Well, I got to level with you. First of all, I want to say, you mentioned Chuck. When you watch NASCAR and you watch any kind of racing, they always, it's the driver. And I appreciate what you just said, but I got to level with you. If you don't have the right car with the right engine and a great crew, you're not going anywhere. Right. And these motivation bites, I could not have done them. And quite frankly, they would not look like they look if it wasn't for Chuck Gallagher, Primo Productions, and the team that he put together to do them. So first and foremost, I want to just say, I appreciate your compliment towards me as the speaker and delivering the message, but I got to level with you. We got so many comments on the footage that Chuck put together, his team, and the team he put on it. In terms of where I'm at now, 2022, and this is where I want to get people excited. 2022 for me, now I only speak for me, is probably going to even be busier than 2019. I have been, the phone continues to ring, the inquiries continue to come in, so it's been really good. Another thing that I was going to share with you, and I think the people that are viewing this and your listeners will be interested, that one on ambition, and Chuck Gallagher will verify this, several of those were filmed post-surgery while I still had a drain after my surgery for cancer. So for me, it was something that Chuck brought in a recliner. The guy brought me a recliner and I would film one. I'd have a treatment, be completely exhausted. But for me now, I've got my strength back and I better have it back because my schedule right now is exploding for the rest of 2022. Quite frankly, people are back and they want to hear it. And sometimes people will say to me, are you doing a lot of virtual? I got to level with you. People are wanting to get together now. They're wanting to get together in person, and the conferences and the conventions that I'm speaking at, the numbers are hitting records. By the way, that's another thing.
And Bill,
a conference that used to have 400 people is now having 550 people.
And Bill, that doesn't surprise you, does it?
No, I mean, we had our annual meeting the other night, and we had 240. It was a sold-out event.
Steve, let me say something. I just want to first thank you for all that you're doing and all that you're putting out there. Literally, watching that clip, I felt it. I had chills over here. I could feel that. And so your own messaging, Target hits things that no one can. Talent hits targets no one else can hit. Ambition hits talents no one else can see. And you just described that, saying when you did that, you had no clue how that was going to impact the world because you did it through ambition. Have you noticed during this pandemic, has that showed people that they haven't necessarily been on fire? I think what we've seen, a lot of people during this pandemic realized they were just in a job, right? Had no real attachment or emotional energy to what they were doing. It brought home a paycheck. Have you seen it really kind of start to set people on fire, or to identify, maybe I haven't been on fire? What have you noticed?
Well, the one thing I did notice, and great point, during the pandemic, people got stuck. They were not moving forward. Everybody just kind of got stuck. We were getting bombarded with messaging that, quite frankly, and I don't want to be disparaging. I feel like there was a lot of negativity, and people just got stuck. Then all of a sudden, it was like, okay, how do we get moving? What I had mentioned and it was a virtual program I did, and it really hit home, was that you got to reconnect with your why. You have to reconnect with why you do what you do, because purpose is what drives us. And if you're going to get moving forward, you got to get that drive back. So you make a very, very good point. We just needed to make sure that we reconnected with why we did what we did. Purpose drives us and passion fuels us. It's the fuel that gets us excited, but it's the drive, that purpose that really got us moving. And for me, quite frankly, what I went through really literally reconnected me with my why. Why do I do what I do? And just continue to move forward. So I think my message now is you got to keep moving forward with purpose.
So, Steve, I want to build on that a little bit, right? So Tracy talked about she's watching that. It's a 4 to 5 minute video. She's getting chills. How, as a small business leader, do you then take this Motivational Monday where somebody sees 4 or 5 minutes and make that lasting to where it's not a quick snippet of motivation and then they fall back into the routine? How do you make this last for these employees and these people so it becomes a habit to where now they can raise themselves and truly be on fire like you're talking about?
Well, I think it's got to be a discussion point for the week. And I think when I showed you the American Credit Acceptance piece, and I was, Jody Powell is their HR director down there, and he said to me, this is what we're going to do. We're going to reinforce your message, and that will be our theme for that week. I had a CEO from a company, and I had a school superintendent who's using them in their school system do the same. For small business, it's the same thing. It is the centerpiece of that week, or, and I've got some that are doing it every other week. But the point is, whether I'm talking about perspective, whether I'm talking about character, whether I'm talking about honesty, no matter what the subject matter. And by the way, there's fun. There are topics in there that you can discuss. But I think what it does is it kind of raises the bar. It not only raises the bar and motivates the employee, but it raises the bar for leadership, the person that owns that small business, to make sure that here we go again, it's not about practicing what you preach, it's making sure that those actions, this message that you believe in, your actions match that belief. So they're going to watch you. So as an employer, it's something that really goes both ways. And I think that is really what has helped as it is being heard, not just by the employee, but by the management who is giving that to them, or in a small business, the owner.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Because then it's not just a 4-minute video, nobody ever talks about it and they move on. That's kind of lip service, right? Mm-hmm. So I really like that point of you have this motivational bite, and then how do you build off that? How do you create that to be part of your culture? So I love that. Thanks, Steve.
Okay, so you are listening to Steve Gilliland. He is my favorite man on the planet. You know that, don't you, Bill?
Absolutely. Mine too.
So, Steve, last time we talked, you were on the Local Biz Now show. You were building a barn. Did you get the barn built?
The barn is built, and my wife calls it, well, I'm not going to tell what my wife calls it. It's built, and anytime I'm in it, she's happy. That's all I'm going to say.
Sure, it's a whole hell of a lot better looking than my barn.
So, Steve, I would like for you to, we're live on the radio. We're also live on the book, right? all of the people listening out there on the radio, they're thinking about starting a small business. They've given it thought half their lives, What is it you would consider telling them?
The thing that I would tell them is, the thing that probably holds most people back is the fear. And I think for me, I take the other F word, and that's the freedom. It's the freedom to know that you got to take the first step. And then once you take that first step, you can't look back. The other thing that I've always, Warren Buffett, and everybody hopefully knows the name Warren Buffett. Buffett said something in his book that just struck me. He said, you got to die to the ego. So no ego, but you also, you can't be comparing yourself. So for small businesses, when you go into business, what you have to do is have your own. It's kind of like, in sports, football, they'll say, you got to find your identity. My thing is get over the fear, understand that you are going to have some bumps in the road. But what you go through in life, and here's the thing in small business, what you go through initially, it's either going to make you bitter or better or stronger or weaker. The challenges that you have, you're going to grow from those. But the biggest thing is get over the fear, just have no ego as you begin this, and make sure, it's so ironic. I always talk about honesty. Just absolutely always do what's right. And I'm a faith-based guy. I just believe too that, you just go forward, have faith, and just believe in yourself, because I know that some people sometimes they just shut out the noise. And if I gave you that piece of advice, just shut out the noise, because there's too many people that are going to not be behind you, and too many people that are going to say, well, what if and what if? No, shut out the noise. Just move forward. Don't be fearful. And whatever you do, just exercise the faith that you really do have, not just in yourself, but in God.
So Steve, one more question, buddy. So you say you're really packing it in with bookings. What's the talk about? What are they wanting you to talk about? Has that changed?
Well, I tell you what. Years ago, when I started, it was always about, when I wrote the book Enjoy the Ride, everybody wanted to hear enjoy the ride, enjoy the ride. True joy of life is in the trip, and then of course making a difference. We heard that earlier, and that's what I actually did, for the small business event. But they're back to enjoy the ride. I mean, right now they want people to understand, and it's got to be something that we begin to, and I'll give you one here. Stop giving people permission to ruin your day. Just stop.
I love that.
Don't give circumstances permission to ruin your day. And basically what they're wanting to hear is, how do we now get back to enjoying the ride?
Thanks, buddy. My friend, I cannot thank you enough. We got to get moving. I cannot throw enough love out to you, my friend. For those of you that like Steve as much as I do, we've got another motivational bite coming up before the end of the show. So stay tuned. Steve Gilliland, you are the man, buddy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate all of you. Incredible panel, by the way, Joe. I mean, you're looking good, but that panel's looking pretty good.
Yeah, I got to step it up to keep up with these guys, Steve. Thank you, man.
I was going to say, they're making you look good tonight.
Enjoy the ride, Steve.
You are listening to WSIC Statesville, serving Iredell County, Taylorsville, Hickory with 100.7 and 1400 AM. This is WSIC, 105.9 FM, 100.7 FM, 1400 AM. I am Joe Vagnone. You're here with Bill Russell, Tracy, and Ben, the signature 9th annual small business event of the year. And you just heard Steve Gilliland, and you're